All right, we are going over the review packet, so that means that the next math class you will have the test. So I'm just going to be very clear about that. If we're going over the review packet, it means that the next class there is a test. All right, here we go. So as I'm going through this, if you got them wrong on your review packet, make sure to correct them and fix them. Let's do this. So for number one, we're going to do the input-output table. If the input is 2, here's the rule. We're going to find the output. So instead of x in here, we're going to put 2. Let's do it. 3 times 2 minus 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 1 is 5. She got 5. Let's try 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 1 would be 8. Next one would be 3 times 4 minus 1. That's 12 minus 1 should be 11. So if you got those right, you should be feeling pretty good. Give yourself a tiny star. All right, these ones are going backwards. So you're thinking, what do I have to add to 4 to get to 8? Well, it would have to be 4. So you put 4 in. 4 plus 4 will give you the output of 8. What will we have to add to 4 to get to 10? It would be 6. 6 plus 4 would give you 10. And then what could we add to 4 to get to 12? It would have to be 8. Because 8 plus 4 is 12. So again, if you had that one, awesome. Give yourself a tiny star. Okay, let's see here. This next one here is about Johnny's buying hot dog buns for a cookout. Use the table as a guide. How many packages will he need to buy to have 48 buns? Well, 2 to 16, that seems like times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. So it looks like the rule is to go from the input to the output. You multiply by 8. So now we're thinking, well, what number could we multiply by 8 to get to 48? That number would have to be 6, because 6 times 8 is 48. So you have to buy 6 packages to get 48 buns. Okay. Here we go. Page 48. Now, these next two were very similar, right? What is the rule to find the value of the missing term? So this is the input, this is the output. How do we get from 1 to 3, 2 to 6? This is a one-step function, 4 to 12. All you have to do is multiply by 3. So whatever n is, you multiply it by 3 to get the value or the output. So it's just going to be 3 times n, or 3n, or n times 3. Any one of those would work. So for the rule, you just write the rule there. 3 times n. That's the end of that one. All right, what is the 7th term in the sequence? Well, you got to find the rule first, and the rule is exactly the same as the one above it. How do we get from 1 to 3, 2 to 6? The rule would be whatever x is, you'll multiply it by 3. So unfortunately, these ones were the exact same thing. Hopefully you noticed that. So this would be 3 times 1 would be 3. 3 times 2 would be 6. 3 times 3 would be 9. 3 times 4 would be 12. Now, to find the 5th term, we'd multiply by 3, we get 15. The 6th term, 3 times 6 would be 18. And, of course, what we're looking for is the 7th term. 3 times 7 would be 21. So 21 would be our answer. That's called the 7th term in the sequence because that would be when x is 7 or the input is 7. What's our output? It's 21. Let's talk about the fair. I gave you a really nice hint on the last video about this number 6. It says admission to the county fair is $5. It cost an additional 50 cents for each ride ticket. Which equation represents the cost of going to the fair and buying any number of ride tickets? So again, we have sort of two variables here. We have cost of going to the fair and ride tickets. And so we have to be really careful about which one we pick, because it's not like you can just pick T for anything and C for anything, because these choices tell us that whatever C is the total. So is the total the cost, or is the total the number of ride tickets? It seems to me the total would be the cost. So we're going to let C equal, maybe I'm just going to put the word total in there. Total cost of going to fair. Okay. And then T is going to be the number of tickets that whoever this person buys. Number of tickets. So let's think about this. It's going to be a two-stepper because it's $5 just for the ticket to get in, and then $50 would be too much. 50 cents per ride. So you know what? I'm just going to write the equation and then see which one matches it. So T is the total, so that's going to be C equals. Now to get tickets, they're 50 cents each. T is the number of tickets you buy. So it'd be 50 cents times T plus $5 just to get in. So plus 5. That 5 is not multiplied by anything because it's just a one-time thing to get in the fare. And it looks like, even though they don't have the 0 in the hundredths place, it's definitely C. D would be if 50 cents could get you in, but then $5 per ride. I'd much rather have C because if you're going on like 10 different rides, it's only 50 cents per ride, where this would be extreme amount, $5. So it's definitely not A or B because it's a two-step function, and it would definitely be C there. So just make sure your let statements are accurate there. All right, let's talk about Malia. Malia earns $5 for every hour that she babysits. Which equation can be used to find T, the total amount Malia will earn after babysitting 8 hours? Well, if I know T is the total amount, I'm starting with T. So that already eliminates A and C because H is not the total. $5 every hour she babysits. So if she babysits 3 hours, that'd be $15. So it seems like you'd multiply the number of hours by $5. Let's do it. 5 times H. Is one of those the answer? You bet it is. It's choice D. Choice D. Okay. How much money will Malia earn if she babysits for 8 hours? Well, it says to use the equation. Let's use it. So let's write the equation down. T equals 5 times H. Okay. 8 hours. So instead of H, we'll put 8 because that's the number of hours that she babysits, which is that's a lot. That's like an entire day. All right. Well, I know 24 hours is an entire day, but that's from if she were to babysit like noon to 8 p.m., that'd be quite a amount of time to babysit. Let's see how much she'd earn from that. 5 times 8 is 40. So it'd be 40 up. Now, keep in mind that if you just do something like this on the test, like 5 times 8 is 40, this is not using the equation. There's no equation there, right? This is using the equation. So you'd write it, substitute, get the answer, okay? So make sure that you're not just writing 5 times 8 is 40, you're just writing the number 40 because unfortunately you lose a little credit because you didn't use the equation. All right, let's check out 9. 9, the graph shows the distance in miles a dog traveled over the course of a certain number of hours. Complete the function table and write an equation to represent the data. All right, this dog is really going for it. So after 0 hours, the dog had traveled 0 miles, which makes sense. What about 1 hour? 1 hour, the dog traveled 8 miles, it appears. So again, I'm using the graph to help me fill out the table. 2 hours appears to be 16 miles. Well, how do we get from the input to the output? What's the rule? 0 to 0, that doesn't really help us. 1 to 8, 2 to 16. That appears that to get from x to y, you would multiply x by 8 because 0 times 8 is 0, 1 times 8 is 8, and 2 times 8 is 16. So for the equation, the miles is going to be the output, so that's going to go by itself. Y is by itself. That's the total. That's the total because it's the output. That's also the total. Okay. So then to find the total, you would just do, x times 8. Now, if you had 8 times x, that's also fine. So you'd probably see it more like that anyway. So if it was like, if you had y equals 8 times x, perfectly fine. Those are both good. Both fine. All right, so there's going to be one of the tests like that where you're taking a graph, you're making a table, and making an equation. Remember that output is always the total. And it's going to be by itself in the equation. We got one last one to go here. This is one about me making worksheets. Nice. Mr. Lovering can make 5 worksheets per week. He wants to create an equation that will give him the number of worksheets he can make given the number of weeks he works. Complete the table and graph to show the number of worksheets Mr. Lovering can make in the first 5 weeks. All right, so after 0 weeks, believe it or not, I would be able to make 0 worksheets. Every week I can make 5. So 1 times 5 would be 5. 2 times 5 would be 10. 3 times 5 would be 15. 4 times 5 would be 20. And to show this, we'll say number of weeks is W. It would be W times 5. So like 0 times 5, that's the rule. Whatever W is, we're going to multiply by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. That should be a 5. I said 20. Well, we have to go up to 5. I missed that. 25. It does say first 5 weeks. So it would be 5 times 5 would be 25. Okay. Now the graph, the masterpiece of this test is to make the graph. First thing is we're going to do our labels. Well, the input always goes on the x-axis. So we're going to put number of weeks down here. Number of weeks. 0 to 5. So, yeah, it's kind of smushed. All right, well, 1, 0. I wonder if I can skip. 1, 2, 3. Well, I could, but I guess I'll just put them one right next to each other. This is not the best graph here, but there you go. All right, and here what's nice is I can just go up by 5. So this is total worksheets. Because this is a one-step function, we don't have to worry about like counting up or skipping a number and then counting up by a different number, because this is just going 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. So we're just counting up by 5s. So let's count up by 5. So it's going to be 0 here. If you don't have to write 0 because this is always 0, but write it there. 5, 10. It's kind of smushed again. 15, 20, 25. So it is a tiny graph. I wish I just would have made a different graph for this. All right. So 0, 0, you're going to put a point there at 0, 0. I know it's hard to see, but it is there. 1 week, 5. 2 weeks, 10. 3 weeks, 15. 4 weeks, 20. 5 weeks, 25. You see that is linear. It is linear. There we go. Put a line segment. And there it is. Last thing, you might want to put like at the top a little label, a little title, Mr. Lovering's Worksheets. And there it is. There's the graph. So make sure you have all these different pieces. You have the labels. Okay? You have the numbers labeled as well. You have the line connected. You have an arrowhead. You have a title. Make sure that you use a straight edge. Don't just kind of like draw a line like that, because it might go weird. Okay? It might go a little crooked there. So don't do a straight or a freehand line. You always want to use something to help you make the line. All right. So next time's the test. Hope that going over this review packet will be helpful. Let me know again when you're looking at this, if you have questions about something. I'd be happy to help you. But I think we're going to do well, and I hope that you feel confident. And I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.